We're talking about climate change these days and the fact that Africa is the continent most susceptible. What does it mean for water security?
Well, climate change is best manifested in water because water is visible. When you have climate change, we are having floods and droughts in Africa. We are seeing recent floods in Africa and droughts in Africa. Therefore, we have to be ready for that because right now, about 340 million Africans do not have access to water. We have to be ready for that. We have migrations to these cities in urban areas. That's why this year World Water Day is dedicated to urbanization and water. People are moving into the capitals because of drought or floods in the rural areas. So we are faced with challenges in which we have to develop adaptation measures because in Africa, when we talk about climate change, it's about adaptation. And climate change is nothing about water. Water affects its life because our agricultural production, our hydro for power, generating power, even nuclear power all need water. And we have not been able in Africa to harness all our water resources. We are only harnessing about 7% of our water resources, and people are dying of water and waterborne diseases. So we need to get together in this day and bring the awareness to everybody in the world, World Water Day, and use Cape Town as the center to spread the message, awareness that we have faced challenges, the water challenge.
Let's talk about the pressures to the ecosystem, particularly water. You talk about rapid urbanization. That's one element. There's also the requirement for water in many of Africa's farming economies. That's a second element. The third one is this need for electricity in Africa and hydropower projects. Can Africa cope?
Of course, Africa can cope. We have several water resources that can provide hydroelectricity for Africa. But we are not harnessing it because we are not building the necessary infrastructure. Only few countries like South Africa that has built several infrastructure in dams for hydro. And about 10 years ago, that was like a big campaign against dam because of the environmental problems and ecosystem. But Africa, where we have about 63 river basins that have all the potential, but we are not harnessing that. These are the renewable energies because we do not have the enough fossil fuel that causes all of these environmental degradation and climate change. But the hydro potential is here. We have to harness it just like we harness the sun is here. We are not doing that. So Africa's water must be harnessed by investing in infrastructure. We call it investing in water infrastructure for development. Without water, you cannot have development. So we have to invest in water infrastructure for development, for electricity, for irrigation, etc.
Finally, who should be paying for some of these water projects? I mean, in a country like South Africa, we're told that we could have water scarcity by the year 2020 unless we as citizens start paying higher tariffs for water services to upgrade the infrastructure and to expand on water projects like you're talking about. Who's going to pay for it in Africa?
In Africa, we are no longer talking of payment to come from the donors. We cannot depend on the donors to pay for it. They cannot. It has to be a private partnership with government and municipalities because government cannot do it alone. The bank's interest rates are very high. Bank interest rates need to come down so that private companies can borrow from the bank's loan to invest on water, partnership with government and local government. Water is no longer free. We should invest, and it should come from within the countries, but not from the outside. Development banks cannot give us all the money we need. We need in Africa over 20 billion per year to provide water, and everybody has to chip in.